Colton Derek Cunningham mentions that many kilt makers don't seem to require a hip measurement when you order. How important is the hip measurement, and what does it affect on the kilt? What's the deal with hip measurements?
Now, he said many kilt makers don't ask for the hip measurement.
It says many kilt makers don't require a hip measurement when you order.
I would say as politely as possible, you're looking at the wrong kilt makers. The hip measurement is important. A kilt, in theory, is, or in practicality, in actuality, is a custom-made garment for the most part. So the three measurements that any kilt maker, good kilt maker, making it for you should need are your waist, your hip measurement, and the length.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no hip measurement, that means that they're just making it to some kind of standard taper. It means it will not fit you as a custom garment should fit you, or you're looking at just off the peg cheap kilts, in which case you get what you get and you don't get upset, as my son's, preschool teacher used to say.
Right.
But yeah, no, a hip measurement it's pretty important, especially if you have a skinnier waist and you're muscular in the rear end, or you're a woman with a bit of an hourglass shape, or alternatively, if you are a man and built like a tube. If you're not average proportion, then you need the hip measurement. If you are built, hourglass kind of shape, then what's going to happen is if the kilt wants to be, I'm going to use straight up and down. If it wants to be straight up and down and you're built like that, then what's going to happen is one of two things. Either it's going to be real loose at the top and tight around the widest part of your rear end, or you're going to have it fit at the waist and fit at the hip, but that's going to actually pull the pleats. They're going to kind of go at a bit of an angle across the back. Mm-hmm. I'm not even joking. I've seen kilts that look like you didn't drink your V8. They were on an angle because it didn't fit right. So yeah, that's if you have a rear end and the kilt is built more straight up vertical. Now, the opposite problem exists as well. If you are built vertical, you're a cylinder, you're a tube, you suffer from what we affectionately call Neanderthal disease, then what's going to happen is on the back of the kilt, if the kilt tapers out and allows for a like 6 or 7 inch difference between your waist and the hip measurement, and you're just straight up and down, what's going to happen is this part will fit you tight, and then you have nothing to support the hips, so it's just kind of bleh. And then you're going to have a weird, like wavy stage curtain-y kind of effect.
Like curtains, like stage curtains. Yeah.
Exactly, across the widest part of your butt. And it's not going to have that nice tapered form fit and then hang straight down with a nice straight pleats from there. It's going to look disheveled no matter how well the kilt is made. Mm-hmm. If it is not made to your measurements, it will look disheveled in the back. Mm-hmm. Mac, do you have any thoughts you want to add into lack of hip measurements or weird hip measurements on a kilt?
No, I think you're hitting pretty much everything there, especially with that weird angle thing. We see that quite a bit at festivals.
When a woman buys one of our, like a woman that's really, really curvy, buys one of our off-the-rack casual kilts, where we make off-the-rack casual kilts for men with a 4-inch difference waist to hips. And if a woman with an 8-inch difference buys it, it pulls all the pleats to one side, so they kind of, they're not quite right. And when they try to do that at like Celtic Classic, it's like, can I just make this for you and just do it to your measurements, please? Yeah. Let me just, no, I want it today. Oh, okay, here you go. Like, I don't want to sell that kilt because it's not going to look right.
Now, thankfully, a lot of them will do, I want this to wear today. They'll get that to wear today, but they also put an order in for something else. And then once they get the new one, they're like, oh yeah, now I want to get rid of this one and get another one. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I think you're hitting pretty much everything square.
Okay. All right. Do you have any thoughts?
No, that's basically it.
Yeah. So a proper kilt maker making a custom garment to your measurements will always want your hip measurements. If they don't want your hip measurements, it's an off-the-rack kilt, or it's pre-made, and or they don't know what they're doing. Run.
Right.
If you just want an off-the-rack kilt, it's a great deal. It's super cheap, and that's all you can afford. Great, have at it. But understand that you're not getting a custom tailored garment, so lower your expectations. Any kilt maker worth their salt will ask you for 3 measurements minimum: waist, hips, length. Cool.
Yep. You know what all those kilts that don't ask for hip measurement are? They're basically fast fashion. They're designed to be made quickly, sold quickly for a profit, as opposed to being something made to last. So by all means, check out a custom kilt for your custom body. And if you want a good place to get one, USA Kilts might be a great place to start.